The Kansas City Chiefs are now 6-1 on the season, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows as Nick Bolton will miss a couple months and Justyn Ross may be in some trouble. But with all that, let's cut the chit chat and let's have some fun. Now, typically a Monday after a win or after any game, you know what I do. I dive deep in, I give you my initial thoughts and takeaways from that game. But we got a key injury to discuss. We got a player that may be in some trouble. So there's a lot to jumble our minds around. But one thing I want to get off right away is I want to thank the kingdom. I want to thank everyone who joined the live stream this Sunday and just enjoyed play-by-play, the great victory against the LA Chargers. It's always a fun, great experience engaging with everyone that jumps in. And we'll be doing it again as we try to beat the Denver Broncos in Mile High for the 1,000th time. Yes, I will be going live at 4:45 Eastern. Well, actually probably a little earlier, so get the notifications on. It'll be on the channel. We'll have a good time. We'll talk football. We'll talk Kansas City Chiefs football, and we'll dissect it play by play. I look forward to each and every one of you joining the live stream. Now with that, let's get into some of this news, injuries, and game recap. And let's start with the hot topic, and it's the news that literally just broke a couple hours ago, and it's involving fan favorite wide receiver Justyn Ross. And it looks like he may have got himself into some trouble. Now, I don't know what it means really, but he was booked off of, I believe it was domestic violence of damages over $25,000. Now, again, I'm not going to speculate because we got small reports. We don't have the whole initial story, but it looks like he will be in court tomorrow and we'll just see what unfolds from there. From the initial picture, it doesn't look really good, and it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Reed and Brett Veach go on with Justyn Ross moving forward. Again, we've had players in a similar circumstances with Willie Gay and of course with players in the past as well. And also how the league attacks this. And what I mean by that is, if we all remember when Willie Gay had his incident where he basically had the same kind of domestic violence thing, but it was against a vacuum cleaner with less charges. It happened, I think, if I'm retracting back, I think it happened like in January or February, and the league didn't announce a suspension till literally in season. So if the league takes a while to determine a suspension for Justyn Ross, again, he may be on the team, but if it's right away, he may not be on the team. But this is all speculation, but I did want to address it because it's news that is freshly new, and it's Chiefs Kingdom's favorite wide receiver, so we have to discuss it. So I'll keep you guys up to date throughout the week on any news that breaks in regarding this story. But now moving forward, more news that will impact the Kansas City Chiefs, and it will impact them for the next 6 weeks, it looks like. And it's the fact that Nick Bolton's injury is serious, but it's not the kind of serious I thought. When I saw the injury, I thought he broke his wrist. Now, it's a wrist dislocation. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know you could dislocate your wrist. So I learned something new, but it's still a very painful injury that will keep him out for a couple months. And by all signs, it's telling us he may be ready in December and for that playoff push, that Super Bowl push. And that's when we're going to need him. And honestly, I'm fine with that because the Kansas City Chiefs, they addressed a need that none of us thought was going to be a need. But that's why Brett Veach is good at the talent acquisition when he brought in Drue Tranquill. And he's literally a starting linebacker, basically playing fill-in now. And I don't believe the Kansas City Chiefs defense will miss a step. Now, it's no disregard to anything of what Nick Bolton has done so far this season, but Drue Tranquill has actually played majority of the season. If you look back, Nick Bolton was already missed 3 games due to injury, and then he played a couple games, and then unfortunately with this wrist injury as well. But there's no doubt showing what Nick Bolton is all about, because in the few games he has played, he's looked phenomenal, and it will be missed. But also, Drue Tranquill, he knows how to fill in really well. Like, even in this game, once Bolton got hurt, he had a beautiful pass deflection where he swatted it out of the tight end's hand, and then he had a sack on Justyn Herbert in the closing minutes. You know that had to feel amazing for him against his former team to basically, probably in his mind, call game. So I'm not too worried about the position. We are going to miss some of the plays by Nick Bolton and some of the athleticism he brings, but don't sleep on Drue Tranquill. He is definitely going to be a guy you guys are going to be excited to watch take the field week in and week out. And when he makes those plays, you're going to be wondering, how are we going to keep all four of these guys on the field with Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, and Drue Tranquill? This is why the Kansas City Chiefs are deep, because injuries, unfortunately, they happen, but they are prepared and they are ready to go. They always mention next man up, and that happens to be the case here. Now, let's talk some football, shall we? Let's push away the injuries. Let's push away the troublesome news. And we had a game yesterday that was very fun to watch. Now, it was stressful. It really was. But what are you going to get out of the Kansas City Chiefs? Because that's the typical fashion. But let's focus on this offense. And they look like the offense we have all known and come to love. And let's talk about something that I feel Chiefs Kingdom, including myself, takes for granted, and it's just because it's so damn good. And it's the Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey connection. And man, were they connecting on Sunday. It was a thing of beauty, specifically in the first half. Mahomes had damn near 300 yards in the first half. Kelsey had almost 200 in the first half. They were doing their thing. And literally, if you saw me on the live stream, it just amazes me that how can Kelsey always seem to be uncovered? It's really astonishing that teams still can't cover the dude. I know he makes up his plays on the go, but that's not all the time the case. And that just shows you how in sync these two are. And when it's like that, you typically don't have to worry about a wide receiver number one. Now, when it's off sync, that's when you're like, okay, next man up. Who will be that wide receiver to step in? Which we will talk about that. But we do take it for granted because, man, Kelsey's getting up there in age and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all. Maybe on that one play, though, where he had that long run, I feel like the old Kelsey would have had it in there, or he would have tried to hurdle a dude to get in the end zone. But the fact that Kelsey is 34, had a 170-yard game and a touchdown, you just do not see those type of performances. So Chiefs Kingdom, please don't take that for granted. And don't take for granted what Patrick Mahomes is doing as well, because we make it seem like it's just a walk in the park that he comes out and throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did have one mishap where he did throw an interception. It was a questionable play, but he did get hit. And I don't know, if he puts a little power under that ball, maybe McCole Hardman has a home run there and that would have been Mahomes' 5th touchdown. Who knows? But we won't know. But what Mahomes did, what Kelsey did, is nothing new, but it's nothing we should take for granted as well. And I want to give a huge, huge shout out to this offensive line because they played phenomenal. And I feel like that was something that was thrown under the rug as well, because with Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, they had the hardest task of the day trying to block Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. And I believe the Chargers defensive line yesterday only had 1 sack. This offensive line is coming into its own. This whole team is coming into its own. And it's a sight you gotta love to see, because now things are starting to press forward at a beautiful time. And when we talk about pressing forward and we talk about the number one question surrounding this offense, it is the wide receiving room. And I don't believe it should be a question no more. Rashee Rice is wide receiver number 1. And I've been saying it for like 3 weeks now. But the dude is just a playmaker. He is the yak king, yard after catch. He is becoming one of Mahomes' favorite targets other than Travis Kelsey. The dude needs to stay constantly in the game, and you see it. Coach Reed is doing it. His snap count is starting to increase. He had the 3rd most highest wide receiver snap counts behind Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore in the 40 range as well. And we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to put some respect on Marquez Valdes-Scantling's name, because he may show up for 1 game, Yesterday was the game. He knew how to do the scramble drill perfectly. Every time Mahomes scrambled and was looking for a player to make a play, MVS was that dude. And it was a good sight to see because it's something we haven't seen this year. And it's something we need to see from this wide receiving core. And it's a great move in the right direction. But trust me, all things are not solved, but I think we're starting to find the direction this team wants to go. They're going to keep trying to push Sky Moore out there because he's a young dude. They want to see what he's all about. That's why his snap count is so high. But we'll see how long that keeps going forward now that McCole Hardman is on the team, because he's going to start taking snaps from some guys, and that may be Sky Moore. But we're learning a lot about Kadarius Toney because his snap count was very, very low. Now, he did have a couple catches, I believe, early in the game, but as for that, it was quiet. And like I mentioned in a previous video last week, I really believe the Kansas City Chiefs are starting to view Kadarius Toney as a gadget player, which is nothing wrong. I actually think that's the perfect role. Have a certain package for him. That way when he's on the field, he can be explosive and he can still produce in this offense. And then as for the running game, it wasn't that great. Honestly, besides Mahomes' scramble, this running game only averaged a little over 2 yards a carry. The only highlight of the day was a screen pass to Isaiah Pacheco where he took it in for 10-yard touchdown, which, please read, please keep inheriting the screen game with Isaiah Pacheco. He will excel in that, and that will take the offense to another level. We're not even halfway through the season yet, and the fact that the offense looked like this, get ready. It's only gonna get more fun. But let's flip the script. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball, and it was shaky to start out. Let's just say it. Honestly, I was like, come on, the offense is looking amazing. And now the defense decides, hey, let's not show up. That's ridiculous, come on. But they showed up when it mattered the most in the second half. They didn't allow a point. It's crazy how good this defense has become. We are now 7 weeks into the season, and they have not allowed an opposing opponent to score more than 20 points. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, what are we even talking about? This is something Chiefs Kingdom is not used to, and I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. That the fact that we can highlight our defense is basically the focal point of this team. If that's the case, this Kansas City Chiefs team is not going to lose many games whatsoever. And my main guy I'm going to highlight is the newly acquired guy who's coming off a suspension, Charles Omenihu. Man, if you didn't think this defense could get better, Charles Omenihu probably changing your mind. He came in, had 2 sacks, had a deflection where it was popped in the air, and L'Jarius Sneed got his first interception on the day. And since we're talking about first interceptions, let's also give a big kudos to Brian Cook for his first interception on the year as well. You guys know, I love me some turnovers. And these boys on the D-line keep popping the ball up in the air. That's back-to-back weeks now where deflections have came in the air and they have gone for interceptions. And let's keep focusing on deflections a little more because, man, Willie Gay played out of his mind. He had the first sack of the day. He had a huge deflection on the day. He was all over the field. And it looks like he is hitting his stride. He is hitting his peak. And we're going to need it more than ever now with Nick Bolton not being there. He is going to be the leader of that linebacking core probably. And if you think he's getting good, he's going to get better. And he's going to be so much fun to watch. And then a guy I think has been under the radar, who I think Chiefs Kingdom has been kind of giving backlash to. But Justyn Reed, man, he is coming into his own, and he deserves his praise. And one of the highlights for me from the day was with a sideline throw, he made a phenomenal deflection. And it was a thing of beauty. What this defense did in the second half was just flat out amazing. But you can't discuss this game without discussing special teams. And you can't discuss it without McCole Hardman being back in Arrowhead when it is Dante Hall's time to be enshrined into the Chiefs Ring of Honor. And McCole Hardman did it in Dante Hall fashion and basically returned a punt to seal the game, to give the Chiefs to put them in touchdown drives and close the game out. Like I mentioned in my preview, McCall Hardman was going to be effective in this game for one or two reasons. It was going to be in the punt return or kickoff return. And boy, did he ever show up in the punt return. But that wasn't his final play on the drive because he had a clutch, and I mean clutch catch on third down where you can tell Mahomes trust in the dude. The chemistry, the connection was there. Mahomes just threw it up. McCall Hardman made a catch, came down with it. First and goal. Boys, let's close it out. Let's go home. That's the few things I wanted to see from McCall Hardman early. Now, that is a good stride to go into Denver. That is a good stride to go into Germany and take on the Dolphins too, because McCall Hardman, he can legit be the third weapon on this team behind Kelsey, behind Rashee Rice, and I believe McCall Hardman can be that next man up if he is healthy. Again, don't expect bizarre, crazy numbers from Hardman, but expect a play where he can flip the field and he can change the game. It was such a great game, Chiefs Kingdom. It was something I wanted to see. It was wishy-washy. It was tied up at half at 17, but this team took it to another gear in the second half. With that, I'm closing this recap off. I'm closing this video out. Dive in the comments below. Let me know some of your key takeaways from the game. Let me know some of your comments in regards to Nick Bolton with Justyn Ross. With that, I'm checking out. Y'all take care. Peace.